Hello, Patreon scumbags, and welcome to the very first episode of our new show, The Jedi Archives. It's me, your totally canon friend, Andrew Fantasia. Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being a Patreon. Thank you for everything. The Force is indeed very strong with you. Jedi Archives, how's it going to work? We talked about it before. It's going to be a show where I go through all of the Star Wars books that I own, and all the canon ones, and go through them in chronological order and just give them some much deeper reviews and talk about what makes them good, what makes them bad, what makes them readable, what makes them unreadable, and then at the very end of it all, we'll close things off by ranking everything. I'm too ambitious sometimes. Anyway, because we're going chronologically, we got to start at the beginning. And the very first chronological Star Wars book I own that we're going to talk about today is the miniseries Star Wars High Republic, The Blade. So let's talk about it. Considering it's only 4 issues long, this comic does a very good job of providing some good old-fashioned Star Wars world building, enveloped in a tale that's as old as the hills. A planet faces civil unrest as its 2 main factions have decided they really don't care much for one another. When the prince of one faction and the princess of another decide to hook up Capulet Montague style, the disagreements reach a boiling point and one group holds the other under siege. That's where the Jedi come in. Our 2 protagonists are the titular Blade Porter Engle and his BFF Barash Sylvain. I love these 2 Jedi. Their personalities are so unique, which is tricky to accomplish in a franchise with so many gosh darned characters. Porter is an aspiring chef who's also one of the best lightsaber duelists in the Order, with the unerring affability of a maitre d'. Barash is socially awkward with a great dry sense of humor and doesn't like using lightsabers much. Another unique thing about this relationship is that neither are master or Padawan. They're just 2 Jedi pals palling it up, working in tandem to solve problems. At the end, Barash's powers of perception fail her because of her own personal demons, and she walks away from a Jedi Order she feels she doesn't deserve to be a part of. As the first Jedi to do this, such an action becomes known as the Barash Vow, and we hear this mentioned in stories that take place way further down the timeline, and that is exactly the kind of stuff you do when you're dealing with a prequel that dips this far back into the timeline. World building at its simplest and most effective. Mwah, chef kiss. To me, Star Wars is at its best when it's an adventure, a fantasy, or both. Get used to hearing me say that because on the Jedi Archives, I'm going to be bringing that point up a whole lot. And The Blade feels like an old school fantasy story with princesses and sieges and warring houses. It's magnificent stuff. It's also the only High Republic Phase 2 media I own, if that counts for anything. But I like this a bunch, and I think it serves as a great Star Wars story, as well as a groovy way to kick off our new show. That was Star Wars The Blade. That was the very first episode of the Jedi Archives. Thanks so much for tuning in, my friends. You all rock. And hey, if you like books and you like Star Wars and you like me, maybe check out my fantasy book, We Were Wizards, which you can find on Amazon right now. And the next book in the series is already out there too. Until next time, scumbags, may the force of others be with you.